source of quality data about the nation's people and economy. On the right-hand side, you'll see that's our regional office structure. We currently have 6 regional offices throughout the United States, and Ohio is part of the Philadelphia regional office. We have approximately 40 or so data dissemination specialists across the United States. We respond to data inquiries. We conduct data presentations and training workshops to access census data via webinar, in person, and/or over the phone. We serve as a resource and partner for all the customers, and our services are provided at no cost. Our goal is to equip customers with the knowledge and understanding of the many census programs, products, and tools to access census data. Today, I'm going to talk about why use census data. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about census surveys, programs, and the release schedule. And then I'm going to talk about the different types of census data and tools for grant writing. And then just a brief guidance for data users. And then a quick demo of our main data tool, data.census.gov, our new data platform. And then followed by questions and answers. Why census data? Because it's reliable. It comes from a trusted source. It's comparable. You can easily compare geographies, or you can compare it over time. Regularity and availability. It comes out, the ACS, the American Community Survey data, comes out twice a year, it comes out twice a year, and 1-year estimates and 5-year estimates. It's easily accessible, and visualizations as well. You can create any of your own visualizations using census data, and there's any number of visualizations on the Census Bureau's website. A lot of people don't know, but we conduct more than 130 different surveys every year. We do demographic surveys that go on every single day, every month. We do economic surveys, a lot of economic surveys. And some of our survey sponsors are the Bureau of Justice Statistics, Labor Statistics, Transportation Statistics, HUD, National Center for Education Statistics, National Center for Health Statistics, the National Science Foundation, and Social Security Administration. Why use census data? Because it drives the key elements of a grant proposal. It describes the target population, your community or the neighborhood. It helps substantiate problems facing the target population. It justifies a need for the project. It can assist in project initial planning and design, and it establishes a baseline for measurable objectives and evaluation. Census data, it helps track trends. Aging of the population. We see, anywhere you look, just about anywhere you look in the United States, the median age has gone up substantially in the past 20 or so years. Declining household size. Gone are the times when we, 6 to 8 people per household. Right now, I think we're at like just over 2.6 people per household. Changing household composition. We see more single parent households nowadays. Grandparents as caregivers for their grandchildren, that's becoming more common. Mothers with infants are returning to the labor force more so now. And children living in poverty remains a problem. I believe that's just over 16% in the United States. And then we have money, marriage, millennials. And then we see the growth of racial and ethnic groups. For instance, the Hispanic population has increased by like 25 million since 2000. The Asian population has increased by 8 million since 2000. There's a lot of different types of census data for grant writing. We have demographic data, which is population counts, estimates, projections, and a lot of basic demographics like race, age, sex. We have socioeconomic characteristics like education, income, poverty, health insurance, mobility, marital status, and so on. And then we have any number of housing data as well, such as financial characteristics of housing, housing status, whether people own or rent their homes, vacants, new housing, construction, and then any number of physical characteristics about the housing. And then we have all sorts of business and economic data as well. The number of firms and establishments, construction, finance, insurance, real estate, manufacturers, retail, transportation, and trade. Everybody knows we do the decennial census every 10 years. We just completed the 2020 census. And if you want data from the census, you're just going to get this basic demographic data, such as age, sex, relationship, race, Hispanic origin, number of people in the housing units, and tenure. It's 100% or complete data, and it reflects a point in time, April 1st, 2020. You can get this data at the census, down to the census block level. And everybody knows that the census establishes the official count. This is the data that from the 2020 census that will be released. But you can see that it's redistricting data, which is total population, population 18 and over, and then race, and then housing counts. And you can get that down to the block level. And I believe that the redistricting data will be released April 1st, 2021. And then we have demographic profiles, and then we have summary file 1 and summary file 2. Now we have the American Community Survey. It took the place of the long form after the 2000 census. It's an ongoing survey. It's in every county in the United States. It's sent to 3.5 million addresses per year. And you can get detailed population and housing estimates each year. We do visit 20,000 group quarters. And by group quarters, I mean nursing homes, college dormitories, things like that. And we sample 194,000 residents each year in the group quarters. You can get critical information on small areas and small population groups, as I said, that was previously collected on the long form. It covers 35 topics, supports over 300 known government uses. And it's important to know the data are released twice annually. They're released as 1-year estimates and as 5-year estimates. This is the ACS content, the data topics. So if you look, you can get data for demographic characteristics such as age, sex, race, Hispanic origin. There's any number of social characteristics as well, such as education, marital status, grandparents as caregivers, disability, place of birth, citizenship, what languages do people speak at home. There's any number of housing content as well. Do people own or rent their homes? Occupancy, structure, home values, how old are the homes, taxes and insurance, utilities, monthly or mortgage and rent. And then there's any number of economic characteristics as well. You've got income, benefits, employment status, what occupations do people work in, what industries do they work in, what's poverty like, how do people get to work, how long does it take them to get to work, and so forth. This is what I talked a little bit about before. It comes out in 1-year and 5-year estimates. The difference is the 1 year are for populations 65,000 or more, and the 5-year estimates are for populations less than 65,000. We do have the 1-year supplemental estimates, which are meant for 20,000 plus. So basically, if you're looking at an area that has, let's say you're looking at like Cuyahoga County, you can use the 1-year estimate or the 5-year estimate. And that would be, which estimate you use is up to you, but the 1 year is more current And the 5-year is more precise because there's more data going into the 5-year estimate. So a lot of times when you're looking at census tracts, you're looking at, your neighborhood, you have to use the 5-year estimate because it's less than 65,000. This is our census geography. You can get data from the nation all the way down to census blocks, but at the census block level, as I said, it's going to be only 2020 census demographic data. The ACS is available at the block, group, and up. So you think of like just a number of blocks making up a block group, and then some block groups, two to 3 or 4 making up a census tract. And a census tract has an optimum of about 4,000 people in it. So, if you wanted data for all census tracts in Franklin County, that would be relatively simple to do. Or if you wanted like all zip codes in the United States, you can easily do that. And the economic census, a lot of people don't know that we do the economic census. It's done every 5 years, and it's 4 million businesses nationwide. It's done in every year that ends in a 7 and a 2. So from the economic census, you can get the number of establishments, the receipts of revenue, payroll information, and the number of employees. And you can also get non-employers. Those are sole proprietorships, businesses with no employees. You can get the number of those establishments and their receipts of revenue. And you can also get this data down to the zip code level by employment class revenue size at the zip code level. There's a lot of data that comes out from the economic census. It's a lot of really good data, but the problem is that it does take, since it's so big, it does take a long while for the data to finally be released. You can see that from 2018, in September of 2019, we started releasing the data from the 2017 economic census, and it won't all be released until 2021 in December. And then we'll have to start the next economic census in 2022. On the bottom of the screen, I have some of the data from the economic census. You can go down to the industry level. So if you look at, this is for Ohio. So if you look at family clothing stores, you can see that there's 186 firms of family clothing stores in Ohio. There's 738 individual family clothing stores in Ohio, and they have receipts of revenue of $2.2 billion. And they have a payroll of over 244 million, and they have a number of employees at 18,443. This is an example of a real life example of, and I don't know if this person's actually in this audience, but this is a real example posted on census.gov that somebody actually, a grant writer actually did. This person was preparing a request for funding to address food deserts. Those are areas where there's no high quality food in her county and surrounding areas. So what she did was she took the Census Bureau economic data, she identified the zip codes in her areas that had no grocery stores. And then she combined that with data from the American Community Survey to refine those areas with vulnerable population, like those with low median household income, high disability, high population over 65, limited access to transportation. So she included these in identified areas in her grant proposal and was awarded the grant to help entrepreneurs open grocery stores in those areas. So there was a real example of someone that used both the economic census data and the ACS data together to get a grant. Now, switching gears just a little bit, I want to talk about data tools and apps on census.gov. So you go to census.gov and you click on Explore Data and then Data Tools and Apps. and you'll see all our data tools. These are some of our more common data tools. You have Quick Facts, My Congressional District, My Tribal Area, On the Map for Emergency Management, Census Business Builder, Census Flows Mapper, the API, and then finally our new data platform, data.census.gov. Quick Facts is very simple to use. A fifth grader could easily use Quick Facts. It gives you statistics for all states and counties and cities and towns with populations of 5,000 or more. You can get tables, maps, charts, you can customize it, you could share it, you can embed it, and you can download. And basically what it is, you can type in whatever geography you want. In this case, I typed in Columbus. And I think you could type in up to 6 at a time to compare if you wanted. And this is just the top part of what Quick Facts is. This is, you can see it's giving me population, then age and sex, race and Hispanic origin. It'll give you, it goes on with education, the number of businesses, poverty. And you can click on any of these. Like if I clicked on, in this case, I clicked on population estimates and then click on map, it'll make a map for me. Or if I click on anything and click on chart, it'll make a chart of whatever data for me. So it's very simple to use, and it's quite informative. Census Business Builder is another one that I really like. It's used mainly to research or open or expand a small business. It's easy to use, customer focus. You get economic and demographic data viewable on in a map and a report or table. You can identify trends over time. You can compare data to neighboring counties, states, and national averages, and you can get downloadable and printable business reports. So basically what this is you just tell it whatever area you want. And in this case, I told Franklin County, and I chose my variable. In this case, it's total population. It has basically most of the ACS variables in there. I could have chose median household income. I could have chose whatever, but it'll paint the map corresponding to whatever variable you choose. And then you have your dashboard down here. It gives you some data, like it's telling me the Franklin County population, and then it gives me median household income, percent high school degrees, and the number of establishments. I'm looking at food service and restaurants. So it's telling me there's 875 restaurants in Franklin County. And I could change this data on this dashboard very easily by clicking on the pencil. Another feature of this that I really like is like I said, you can choose any ACS variable. So if I chose median household income and I can go all the way down to the track, but let's say I switched to zip code and chose median household income, I can set a filter and say, I want to see only those zip codes that have incomes over 50,000 median incomes. And then it would only show me those zip codes that correspond to my filter. You could set up to I think it's 3 filters at a time. And it also has, in the map variables, it has all the ESRI data as well. What people spend on dining out, what people spend on yard work. You can use that as well. So it's a very good tool. Another one that we have is My Congressional District. It's very simple to use. It gives you data, ACS data, and some of our economic data on a congressional district basis. All you do is select your state, and then you select your congressional district. On the right-hand side, I selected Congressional District 3. And then you've got your different categories of data: people, workers, housing, socioeconomic, education, and business. Right now I'm on socioeconomic, so you could see that, for instance, the median household income in Congressional District 3 is $47,980. And I could scroll down here and look at poverty or health insurance coverage, whatever I want. So it's very easy to use. One that I really like is On the Map. It gives you a web-based mapping and reporting application that shows where workers are employed and where they live. You can also get companion reports on age, earnings, industry, distributions, race, ethnicity, educational attainment, and sex. Basically, you just type in your area that you want. In this case, I did Columbus. And then it's showing me a blue thermal density overlay with dots. Each of these dots represent jobs. I can click on any dot and it'll show me the number of jobs in that census block. And then it gives me a report on the worker breakdown, demographics of the workers and earnings. So for instance, if I wanted to know how many people come from Westerville to work in Columbus, I could easily do that here. I could show where the people live in Westerville that come to work in Columbus. I could show how many people live outside of Columbus and come to work in Columbus, as well as the number of people that live and work in Columbus, and also the number of people that live in Columbus that go work outside of Columbus and where they work. You know, what areas down, I think it's down to the census block group level. The census flows mapper it's very simple to use. It gives you an interface to view and save county to county migration flows maps. It uses the American Community Survey. It gives you also some characteristics on these movers, like their age, sex, race, Hispanic origin. So for instance, here, I just typed in Franklin County, and then I chose net migration. You can choose outbound or inbound, and then it makes a table for you. And this is the net migration, so you could see there was 1,532 net migration from Cuyahoga to Franklin County. And then you've got Summit County. I don't know why El Paso County, Texas came on here with 490 people, but it could have, you know, some relevance, like a plant closed or a plant moving or something like that. And finally, we have data.census.gov. This is our main data tool. It took the place of American Fact Finder fairly recently, which was our main data tool, but now it's data.census.gov. It's cell-based, it's API-based. So there's a lot more functionality that you could do with data.census.gov that you couldn't do with American Fact Finder. And I'll show you that in a minute. Just some guidance for data users. Comparing data sets, ACS gives you characteristics, where Decennial Census gives you official counts and basic demographics. You've got to be careful when you, and I get this a lot, when people want to compare data, they want to go back to, let's say, like 2000 to right now. So say you're doing like, you're comparing income or poverty from census 2000 to right now. So you'd have to use census 2000 for poverty or income back then, and then you'd have to use ACS for your source for poverty or income now. And if you went to the ACS website, it would say compare with caution, because if you clicked on poverty or income, just because something like that, where the census 2000 collects income from the preceding calendar year, whereas ACS collects income from the preceding 12 months up until the time of interview. So they're not necessarily the same time period. So it would say compare with caution. You can go to the ACS website and click on any of the topics, the data variables, and it'll tell you whether you can compare with older census data. You want to compare non-overlapping ACS data sets. It's very important that you compare, like when you're comparing 5 years, you want to compare 2 5-year estimates with no years in common. So I have an example, 2005 to 9 and 2010 to 14. They don't have any years in common. You also want to be aware of differences in the universe, question wording, residence rules, reference periods. They can impact comparability of data sets as well. And then you've got population alone. When you talk about race, you've got race alone, race in combination, or race in any other combination. So that can get kind of confusing. You can go to the ACS website and there's a subject definition, and you can click on any subject in there. It will tell you exactly what it means. Neighborhood, community are not census geographic terms. And I get that a lot. People want data for their neighborhood, or they want data for their city council districts. Those aren't Census Bureau geography. So a lot of times you can use census block groups or census tracts and build whatever geography you want. And you have to be aware that geographic boundaries may change over time. For an example, someone wanted, let's say it was income data for every census tract in Franklin County for the past 50 years. And I said, well, that's, you probably shouldn't do that because tracts could change, or they probably did over a period of 50 years, no doubt. Every census we do, the population may shift and the tract boundaries may change to correspond to that shifting geography. That shifting population. And then you have to know when to use the 1 year, the 3 year, or the 5 year estimates. Most of the time, your geography, your population of the geography you're looking at is going to dictate what estimate you use. And then you have to, which data table or which tool to use, which best fits your needs for what you're looking for. And now I just want to switch gears a little bit and show you briefly our main data tool, data.census.gov. Just a second. Hopefully you could see this. As I said, this is the new platform to access data and digital content from the Census Bureau. And you basically have two methods to search for data. You have the single search bar, which is right here, and you have the advanced search. You would use a single search bar for simple searches, such as like poverty in Cleveland, education in Ohio, or commuting in Columbus. You just type it in. You'd use advanced search for more complex searches, such as those with multiple geographies or multiple topics, like health insurance for all census tracts in Cuyahoga County, or poverty for all counties in Ohio. So to show you the single search, I'm going to say I was interested in education in Cleveland. So I'm going to type in. Oops. And get used to using the type ahead overlay, because you want to make sure you get, there's any number of, there could be a Cleveland, Tennessee, Cleveland County, Oklahoma. So when I do that, I'm taken to this, what's called all tables, maps, and pages. All, it resorts to all. Usually you just switch to tables to see all the tables. And now I've got my first table, educational attainment, and it's for my geography of Cleveland. And I have the 2019 ACS 1 year estimates. I can change the year, and I can change to 1 year to 5 year, or I can change years very easily. And you could scroll to the table and see whatever you want. Like I could see that 18.6 have a bachelor's degree or higher in Cleveland. One good feature with this is what you couldn't do on American Fact Finder or old data tool is you can highlight any, hold down your mouse and highlight whatever cells you want and right click, and you can copy those cells right to a spreadsheet, or you can copy them with headers, or you can export the whole table as a CSV or Excel. So you can either choose what cells you want, or you can export the whole table. And then to start a new search, you simply click on the logo. Now, let's say I wanted to know about income in Ohio. I just type in income in Ohio. And then I go to tables. And if you don't see what you want, you could always scroll through the tables and see, which table best fits your needs. These are subject tables. They begin with an S. Just remember that subject tables break down whatever subject, in this case, income, by age, by race, by sex, by different things, by education. And then you have your base tables further down, your detailed tables, B tables. Those are your cross tabulation tables. This one is like income to poverty level by nativity. So you can see there's 200 tables just from income in Ohio. Okay, one last thing I want to show you with the single search is, let's say I wanted to know how people get to work and how long does it take them to get to work in Columbus. So I'm going to type in commuting Columbus, Ohio. And right away I could see it takes them 23 minutes to get to work. And if I clicked on a table, I could see that, how many 86% drove a car, truck, or van. 5.1, for example, percent work from home. And another thing with this is you can click on customize table on any table, and you can add more geographies if you want by clicking on geographies. You can add more topics. You can turn on or off the margins of error. You can download the table. This will give you more of a flat file than when you download this, the export. So that's basically the single search. Just a couple things I want to show you on the advanced search. As I said, the advanced search is for more complex searches. So if you look at the advanced search, you have your filters: topics, geographies, years, surveys, codes. Basically, 99% of what you're going to do is going to be involved with topics or geography. So let's say I was interested in education in Ohio and how it relates to earnings. So it doesn't matter what you set first. You could set your geography or you could set your topic first. In this case, I'll choose my topic. I said I want to know how education relates to earnings. So I'm going to choose educational attainment, and it goes down on the bottom here, my filters. And then I'm going to choose income and earnings. And then finally, I'm going to choose earnings, individuals. So my topics are set. And now I'm going to set my geography. I'm going to choose state, and I'm going to choose Ohio. So now I have everything I want in my filters, and I click search. And then my first table here is meeting the earnings in the past 12 months by educational attainment. So if I look at that table, I can see that as education goes up, I mean, no big surprise, but median earnings increases all the way to $71,180 for a graduate or professional degree in Ohio. And you can compare, if you wanted to, you can compare male and female earnings, if you like. Now, one last thing with this, I want to show you, and that'll be it. Let's say I wanted to see how poverty is affecting Ohio for all the counties in Ohio. So I'm going to click on Advanced Search, and I'm going to choose my geography as county, and then I'm going to choose Ohio, and then I'm going to choose all counties in Ohio, a collection of geographies. And then I said I want to see how poverty is affecting Ohio. I'm going to choose poverty and then check the box for poverty. So now I got all counties in Ohio and I got poverty. So I click search. And this is the table. I want poverty status in the past 12 months. And sometimes they'll come up in alphabetical order. Sometimes they won't because it's cell-based. It's a little bit different than our old data tool where they came up nicely in alphabetical order. One big thing with this is if I want to see how poverty is affecting Ohio, I can click on Customize Table and I can click on Map. And what's going to happen is, and I know, I did this on purpose, but I just to show you, it's going to map it for Ohio, but I never switched off of the 2019 ACS 1 year. So it's only going to map those counties with 65,000 or more population. So if I truly want to see, all the counties, I would have to switch to right now it's the 2018 5-year. The 2019 5-year will be out in December 21st, I believe. So click on change it to 2018. And still, what it does, it's mapping the first cell in that table by default, which is not what I want. It's mapping the population for whom the poverty status is determined. That's just basically the population. So I have to tell it what variable in that table I want to see on that map. And this could be kind of tough because there's a lot of variables in the table, and you kind of have to, well, in this case, I might have to go with, let me do this. Zoom out a little bit. I don't know why it's doing this lately, but yeah, there we go. So now I can see all my variables. And you have to kind of scroll through all the variables until you see the one that you want. I want poverty percent below the poverty. That's what I want right there. So I choose that. And now I could see that poverty is affecting Southern Ohio. You got heavier poverty down in the Southern Ohio counties. And if you click on any of these counties, and I clicked on Athens County, because I know that's the highest poverty in Ohio, mainly because of it's not that populated, and it has OU has an effect on the poverty, the students, at 30.6% poverty. You can also fool around with the map. You can click on any county. You can add a county if you wanted to see on the map. You can take counties off, and different things like that. You can select a bunch of counties at a time by holding down your mouse. So let me switch back to here. 100, okay. Now, let me go back to this. So that's basically all I had for, all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions?
There is a question from Christy Elliott in the chat. She asks, can you show how to locate data for how much of a population has access to technology and internet?
Oh, yeah. You can use a single search if you wanted to, and just type in internet. I know where, yeah, I know it's in different tables. I know it's in the selected social characteristics, but there's also specific internet access tables. So let's see, there's internet by tenure by internet tenures. If you open up this table, I know it's in the here, but at the bottom of this table. Computers and internet use, and this will give you, but I don't know why it switched to the, let me try something else. Employment, families. I forget where they put that now. Health, housing, occupancy. Huh. Oh, maybe it's in population people. Here we go. Populations and people. I forget where they put it. It's computer and internet use. And then you've got your tables. Yeah, I wonder why. It seems to, is there something going on here? It's not pulling them all up for some reason. It's resorting to, but believe me, there's a lot of internet tables, and for some reason it's going back to 2015 in this case. Let me see if it one more time. Nope. There must be a problem with it at the moment, but for some reason it's going back, but it's current as far as they'll have the 2019 tables. And it gives you, you know, how many people access internet, how they access it, you know, either through their phone, through the tablet, through their computer, different things like that. Is there any other questions?
I don't have a question, but this is so much good information. And I also appreciate the tips that you provided each step of the way for, you know, the kinds of searches to watch out for and how to be careful about the data you pull and making comparisons between data sets. I think that that was really helpful.
Yeah, and I think like one thing, you know, I can't stress it enough. The ACS website, which you can link there from census.gov, it provides a lot of, you know, you can access data, you can get data profiles, you can get subject tables, you can actually access data from there, but also, you know, it gives you very simple, you can click on any topic, any data topic, and it'll tell you if you can compare it over the years. It's very good. And also ACS has a very good subject definition guide. Any subject in ACS, it'll explain it in detail. Anything else?
Yeah. Do you mind describing, so what is your actual role and what does your day-to-day look like? Like, is this a lot of what you do or?
Well, my role is before the coronavirus, I would go all over Ohio and I do presentations, data tool workshops, that kind of thing on any number, you know, census data for small business, census data for grant writing, census data for your city or towns, and anything people really want as far as census data. And I do a lot of like with this data.census.gov, since it's fairly new, I do workshops for that for people, you know, just to get them comfortable using it and knowing what they're looking at and things like that. This was just a quick run through of it. It's like an hour and a half walkthrough of data.census.gov. I do a lot of like, my day consists of, you know, writing presentations, mostly answering data inquiries. is basically most of my day. People will email me or call and say, hey, you know, you guys have this data, how do I access it? Those kind of things. So if anybody out there wants, you know, in this case, a webinar, kind of a more thorough walkthrough of data.census.gov or any data tool, just let me know, and I'll be happy to provide that for you.
So do you, are you familiar with the, what is it called? The PIAC skills map stuff? Are you familiar with that at all?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I'm just interested to see. So the PIAC is a huge international assessment that was administered to adults in I think 27 different countries internationally. Any adults from ages 15 to 74. I don't think 15 is adult, but they go to 15. And they have an online data tool where you can kind of compare numbers for data in terms of literacy levels by county, by state. I think it's just by county and state. So I just wondered if you were familiar with that and how you might.
What's the abbreviation?
PIAC is PIAAC.
PIAAC.
And they have what's called it's just called a PIAC skills map. You can't like pull data the way that you can from the census, but it's pretty interesting. They do have data sets that are available, but I'm just thinking if you're talking to adult education agencies, that's definitely something that they're interested in.
Yeah, and I probably used it before because I did a lot with literacy people. Like I said, there's a lot of people that they contact me and they're working with different data sets, or they're trying to combine data, you know, the ACS data with literacy and different things like that. And so I have to help them, you know, find the data and understand the data and different stuff like that.
Do you do secondary analysis of large data sets?
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean, I basically just get the data for people, or tell them where they can get the data.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions? I feel like I'm monopolizing all the questions. If anyone else has questions, I mean, we have 17 people. If you want to just unmute yourself if you have a question, or if you don't feel like unmuting yourself, just answering a question to the chat. I'm watching the Q&A in Whova and in the Zoom app. So if you have a question, just feel free to type it in or pipe in while you have this resource right here.
And then here's my, you know, you can see my contact information. So, you know, don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions, or, you know, you'd want a data tool workshop or anything like that.
And this session is also being recorded. So if anyone wants to, it'll be uploaded to the OASE website and people will be able to access it for a while. So, and then if you wanted a copy of the recording, I could send it to you as well.
Okay.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, there are lots of, there are some thanks popping into the chat for you. People just thanking you for the information and appreciating your time.
Oh, thank you.
So the web address would be, what's the web address, the census web address again? Someone's asking.
Census.gov.
Okay. And then lots of thank yous.
Yeah, and then, you know, things have changed a little bit with this new census data tool. So, and a lot of what I do is the new data tool only has data from 2010 to date, and all the old data they put it, the 2005 to 10 is put it somewhere else. It's on the FTP server, or it's in the API. So, you know, people, that's the bulk of my questions recently, is people wanting that data, that older data, for comparison's sake, and they don't know where it's at or how to get it. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your
Yep.
time. And I guess everyone can log off and take a break before the next session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.